That was Nigel Farage speaking to our own Mike Graham on Talk Radio yesterday. I'm joined now by Richard Tice, who is chairman of the new Reform Party. And Richard, look, I thought this was a pretty significant announcement yesterday. When you look at the impact that you both had with the Brexit Party, at the very least, I thought this deserved a little bit of attention on the television news. Yet the BBC News and ITV News last night ignored your announcement altogether. What do you make of that?
Well, good afternoon, Dan, and delighted to hear the results of your early polls, both the tweets you've had in and things, which is great. Look, we're not surprised at all that the mainstream media didn't want to cover us. There was Adam Bolton, bless him, on Sky News in the morning, trying to put his oar in. They don't want to talk about the Great Barrington Declaration, which is the better way, the other way of dealing with the coronavirus. And of course, they don't like the success that we had as the Brexit Party in restoring trust in democracy, in rescuing Brexit. And of course, the establishment will be extremely concerned to know that we've identified, the immediate issue at hand, which is, of course, how to deal best with this terrible virus. And then the bigger picture, as Nigel was touching on, and we wrote in the Daily Telegraph yesterday, which is actually there are so many other areas of the way that this country is governed where actually the government is not working for the people, it's working for itself and its own civil servants. And over and above the things that Nigel talked about, for example, there's young people who are being so ignored and frankly abused in this process. The students at universities, they're being ripped off with university fees, they're being locked up. So there's a lot to do, and look, it's typical of the media, the mainstream media. You guys have been great, and various others, but they're worried. They don't want to give us airtime because they know that actually we can get things done, we can make things happen, and guess what? We might actually be quite popular because we're tapping into the mood of the country.
Well, of course,
funny thing that. Popular, isn't it?
But they never learn, do they? Because censorship doesn't work. It didn't work when it came to Brexit. It didn't work when it came to the last election. It certainly didn't work when it came to Donald Trump. And yet here we are with this sort of censorship over the Great Barrington Declaration again. But look, you mentioned this altercation with Adam Bolton on Sky News yesterday, and it was one of the few opportunities you had in the mainstream media, and it actually turned into a mudslinging session. Now, I know you have lots of answers to what Adam Bolton said, but in case anyone missed the interview, and hopefully you did all miss the interview because none of you would bother to tune into Sky News, I will play a little bit of the encounter and then Richard, you can respond off the back. So this is Richard Tice versus Adam Bolton yesterday.
Is this a proper political party? Are you going to disclose your finances in the way that you didn't with the Brexit Party at the time of the election?
Honestly, that is frankly libelous, Adam. We're a proper political party. We make all our returns to the Electoral Commission. It's frankly scandalous for you to suggest otherwise.
Okay, well, can you?
Comment. Let's focus on.
Well, all right. Can I just ask you a simple question? With the Brexit Party, how much money did you raise, and how much of that money ultimately went to Nigel Farage and yourself?
Zero went to us, and we've made.
Nigel Farage didn't take any money from the donations that were given to the Brexit Party.
I'm delighted to confirm neither of us have had any remuneration whatsoever. What we are focused on is the crisis.
Right, and you can publish the accounts in full so we can see that, can you?
Look, the accounts are with the Electoral Commission, as is the norm with any political party. You know that. The suggestion you're making is frankly defamatory and libelous, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
And Richard, I have seen those filings. They exist. So what on earth was going on there?
Well, the extraordinary thing is, here is an arch Ramona. Adam Bolton has never got over the fact that actually the people didn't do as the Westminster establishment instructed. He's beside himself. He can't control himself. You could see it in that interview. And what he said was defamatory. It was libelous. I've spoken to my lawyers, and time will tell. But we're used to this stuff.
So you will consider taking legal action against Sky News?
Well, look, I'm not going to say any more than that. But what he said was, without question, outrageous. You've seen the accounts online. Many other people have seen them online. And if he's a senior journalist, as he purports to be, he jolly well should have known where to look, how to look. I suspect he had looked, or his researchers had, but he didn't like what he saw, so he thought he'd have a go anyway. Look, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a grown up.
If he apologises, would you be prepared to move on?
Well, let's see the nature of the apology. Let's just wait and see, Dan. But the really important thing, it's not actually about me or Nigel.
Yeah.
It's about this appalling mismanagement and these weak decisions that the government is making. We know lockdowns do not work, Dan. We had one, France, Germany, they all had one. They didn't work. Let's look at the success stories. It's always good to focus on success and learn from it. Take Sweden, for example. They didn't have a lockdown. They had sensible measures. And what's happened over the summer is they have built up a level of immunity to the point now where, for a population of over 10 million people, they are suffering, albeit every death is a tragedy, we know, but they're suffering between 1 and 5 or 6 deaths a day because they've built up a level of immunity. And the Great Barrington Declaration, it's essentially saying we've got to focus really well on the vulnerable, those that need shielding, the elderly, and do that job properly, not a half job, which is what's been going on at the moment. It's been focused.
And target the resources into focus protection because, of course, all of the money that you're spending on everything else means that you could run the best focus protection policy in the world.
Bingo. So, like anything in life, if you're going to do a job, do it properly. Focus on protecting those that need protecting, and then let the rest of us, with a dose of common sense and with sensible hygiene measures that, by and large, all of us have been employing very successfully, you allow us to get on with our lives. And the tragedy about this lockdown policy is that actually it will kill thousands of more life years than it is purporting to try to save. The National Health Service is in danger of becoming the National COVID Service. Tens of thousands of cancer, cardiac, lung, and other patients will see their lives shortened because they're not being diagnosed, scanned, and treated. That's not to mention the mental health issues, particularly of the young, and the soaring suicide rates. We've been hearing in the last few days, more people are either committing or attempting to commit suicide in London than are sadly dying of COVID. And what's extraordinary is we seem to be able to get lots of other data very quickly about the number of deaths from COVID every day. Why aren't they putting up the number of tragic suicides every day? I tell you, Dan, I'm hearing from pathologists, from coroners, that they are truly shocked by the increase in number of suicides. I think this is a national scandal that is deliberately being hidden. It's being covered up. The data's there. The NHS know they could access the data. The coroners and the undertakers would have the data. It's not being released because it is so shocking.